You know, we actors go back to our dressing rooms and lie down, but there's Leonard working with the cameraman or working with the lighting guy or telling the prop man, you know, what we should have this prop and not that prop. And so, you know, he's on his feet and on the set all day long. And his wife happened to be on the set one day, and I asked her, you know, what's it like? I mean, what time does Leonard, you know, have with you guys? And she said, no time. When he's acting and directing, there's very little time for family, because he comes home and he opens up the script and he's planning the way he's going to direct the scenes for the following day. And then he might look at his lines, and he goes to bed, wakes up like at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you know, he's doing the preparation as a director and also looking at the lines. He finishes the memorization in the makeup chair. And so he's working all the time. It's really impressive discipline and dedication and great work habits. So I was very impressed by that with Leonard. And his friendship grew even more, because I did a run last year in Peter Shaffer's play, Equus. Some of you may be familiar with that play. The movie version starred Richard Burton. On stage it was done by Richard Burton, Anthony Hopkins, Tony Perkins, and Leonard Nimoy. He played the role of the psychiatrist on Broadway. And when he found out that I was doing it, he phoned to say that he and his wife are going to be coming to see me. And so I was really kind of anxiety riddled, you know. Leonard did it on Broadway and he's coming to see me do it in Los Angeles. After the show, he came backstage, and I had my loins girded, you know. I thought he was going to give me some pointers on this and that. And when he came in, I said, well, what'd you think? He smiled at me with his diplomatic smile and said, you were better. Now, I know that's pure flattery, but he is a great diplomat and a dear friend. So I have great admiration for Leonard Nimoy. Who was the other guy you were talking about? Next question.
Mr. Takei, if we could just, those of you with questions, if you would do us a favor, please. We've got a microphone over here in this aisle, and a microphone here at this aisle. If you would form up lines in the aisles, and that way we can all get to hear your questions.
Good way of handling it. People can hear the question, and I won't have to repeat it.
I'm next.
You're next.
I've been a Star Trek fan for only a little while now, so,
You look like you were born after we were canceled.
But I was wondering, there's been so many Star Trek movies and series, what has been, since the original Star Trek cancellation, your favorite sci-fi series on TV that you might have appeared in?
Outside of our Star Trek?
Yes.
Well, when we started hearing rumors that they were going to revive Star Trek, this was in the 70s. No, it was in the 80s, early 80s. You know, we thought, oh, well, it would be fun to be doing feature films and the series at the same time. You know, we just assume if they're going to do Star Trek as a TV series, it's going to be us. And then we started hearing the rumor that it might be titled Star Trek: The Next Generation. And Jimmy Doohan particularly took great umbrage with that. The next generation, he said. I mean, Star Trek is us. It's our chemistry. It's our characters, you know. Oh, they're doomed to failure. And he said, I'm not gonna watch that one. I mean, I don't want to see a failing show. I mean, why is Paramount so stupid as to do something that is guaranteed to fail, you know? And I said, well, I'm with you, Jimmy. I'm not gonna watch it either. But actually, I did watch the first show. And I reported next morning to Jimmy. I told him I did peek in on the show, and it is deliciously bad. Do you remember what the first show was? The Naked Now. It was a redo of Naked Time, the show that we did wonderfully. Particularly that dashing swashbuckling scene. And I reassured Jimmy, your prediction is absolutely true. When they're starting with a redo of something that we did, they are doomed. But I continued to watch, and I started to suggest that, Jimmy, you might peek in on them, and because it started to improve. And it eventually got to the point where Jimmy did agree. But he told me, the next generation would not have been possible without us. We gave birth to them. So we consider them our children. And we're particularly proud of our firstborn. Where's the other mic? Over there? Right there. Oh, there. Okay.
Earlier, this is not necessarily related to Trek, but earlier you had mentioned a story about a cell phone in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear it.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what theater it was, too, because I have been boycotting that theater. Those of you who've been to Los Angeles, we have this tourist ghetto called Universal City. Universal Studios there, and they have City Walk, and they have this Cineplex there. Well, I was there, I forget what the movie was, and at the most exciting point, the most dramatic point, this guy sitting next to me, his cell phone goes off. And I thought surely he was going to, apologize and say, oh, excuse me, and turn it off. No, he pulled it out and started a conversation right next to me. I turned around and I glared at him. And then he turned around and glared back at me. And that got my blood boiling. And so I just sat there glaring at him, and then got to the point where I just reached up, grabbed his wrist, and pushed it down. And then he stood up. Oh. I'm not about to back down. So I stood up in a darkened theater, in the middle of the theater, two guys standing up, glaring at each other. And, I had my fist made, ready for whatever he might want to do, I didn't have my fencing foil with me. And guess what he did? We stood there glaring at each other for about 30 seconds, and then he spat in my face. Oh. I was stunned. I just stood there with this spittle, just goober, just dripping off my face. And then he turned around and dashed out. And then that, made me aware of what was happening. So I turned around and I dashed up my aisle. And as soon as I got into the lobby, I started yelling, "Stop that guy! Stop that guy!" And a couple of ushers chased after him, thinking that maybe he'd pick my pocket or something, But he got away. And the ushers and the manager came running up to me and asked, what do you take? What do you take? And I said, look at this. Look at this. And I explained to him what had happened. Ever since then, I have never gone to that theater. They never caught him, but any theater that would allow that kind of, that's a rare exception, I think. But this is what cell phone has done to us. And I think, now that you got me on this gripe, I also think that television has impacted civility and good manners and courtesy. Because, don't you agree?